to welcome to Mental Arts with John Worthington. I'm Terri Stangl, joining you from Connecticut, and I'm with my friend and colleague John Worthington from Mexico. Hi, John.
Hi, T. What's up?
Well, I'm here with my usual roster of questions.
Oh, you're kidding.
You know it's one of my favorite things to do.
I don't.
So I like kind of, as you know, I always like to know where things start from. And one of the things I see, like in your book, and when I've talked with you over the years, is you're always focusing a lot on belief. And that was kind of unique to me because I'd never met anybody that really paid so much attention to it. And so what got you interested in looking at what beliefs do and how they work and thinking to begin with? Where did that start?
Well, I have a somewhat of a religious background, I suppose. I was raised in kind of a fundamentalist church, but it was what we called a New Testament church. Mm-hmm. And so, but at the same time, I was raised on a farm. And so some of the New Testament concepts in farm life didn't really agree with each other the way they were explained. And I had a good deal of difficulty with that for a number of years in my youth, as to why it was that they weren't talking about the same thing when they were having the same life experience. And so I began to look at belief as something more than religious or political, or whether I believe I'll have another beer, for instance. I began to look at belief in terms of what do people believe real actually is. What is it they use as a belief to define real? And so that was something I began to really examine with a good deal of care, because everybody can talk about that they believe this, they can believe that. I believe in Jesus, I believe in Muhammad, I believe I'm a Muslim, I believe I'm Christian, I believe I'm Zen, I believe I'm atheist, on and on and on. And it's like those are good things to believe, no doubt, but they're not things that you actually treat as real.
Wait a minute. Well, I'm not sure that's going to make sense, because if you ask someone, if you ask someone, they say, "Yeah, I treat all that stuff as real." What are you talking about? Well,
you sort of do, okay, but you cherry pick what you treat as real, because because what happens is that you apply some of those things, but not all of them. In other words, how many good Christians do you know that just don't lie? I don't know any.
Yeah. Not that any. Even the research says everybody.
How many good Christians? Yes. How many good Christians do you know? How many good Christians do you know that do not prescribe to the pit bull philosophy of what everybody does?
You know, most of the folks I know, to one degree or another, do some cherry picking about what they say they are, what the belief is, and what they actually put into practice. Yeah.
However, when you deal with beliefs in real, you're dealing with those beliefs in real because you yourself consider them to be real. Now, you do not believe that it's necessary for you not to lie. You think that it's okay to lie. Okay, everybody does. Okay. And it's true, because social structures and so forth kind of push us into that place where we can't lie about anything, or where we do lie about things. We think we're going to be embarrassed. We think people are not going to like us or something like that. And that may be true, actually. It may not be true, but it may be true. Okay. However, that's not something that we believe is real. We don't treat it as real. We treat it as convenient. We treat it as a moral issue, but we don't treat it as real. However, I know people who absolutely insist that their mother/father hates, don't like, never has liked, doesn't love them.
Yeah, I've met a few of those too. Yeah.
And that's not a real thing. But they treat it as real all of the time. There is never a time where they put that down. They just don't do it. Unless they come to a place where they resolve whatever issue is between them. If they do that, then they treat that as real, the resolution. But they'll treat that thing that they believe is real about mom or dad until death do them part, and even beyond.
Yeah, and what we treat as real affects then how you behave and what you do, how you see things, all that kind of stuff.
Well, of course it does, because it's the basis of what we treat as real. I mean, duh.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. Somebody who believes that their mom doesn't love them is going to have that mom doesn't love me meta program controlling every single interaction which they have in their life. Everyone's got to fit into that little meta programmatic box. Mom doesn't love me, when that's not even a real box, but they try to cram everything down in there. It's like some lady who's trying to go on a weekend vacation with one suitcase.
Oh yeah, and you see, I've experienced. I've seen people when they treat somebody like, well, if somebody says something about me, it's got to be a criticism or an attack. Like they see that in everything,
Yes,
like,
because they believe that mom/dad criticized or attacked them for not doing things. When mom/dad was saying, this is a childish behavior, and you're not a child anymore. Now, I understand that people can't face that they can't face their being children, but they are. And when you set them down, stop the world for a minute, say, okay, now just stop. Now talk to me. Isn't that a childish behavior? They'll hem and haw and jump up and down and kind of squirm around a little bit. But eventually they'll say, yeah, that's a childish behavior. Well, why do you do that? Well, the reason why they do it is because they can. Okay, not only can they, but they treat that childish behavior as a real thing. Take value, for instance.
Okay.
What is your own personal value? If I ask that of anybody, they'll say, "Oh, I have value. I'm perfectly well. I'm perfectly fine. I have plenty of value." Oh, so there. Mm-hmm. And so I say, "Okay, so tell me something. Have you benefited from what it is we're talking about here?" And they'll say, "Oh, yes, I have. It has changed my life." Oh, that's cool. I see. Do you treat that as real? Oh, absolutely. I do. I treat it as real. Okay. And so, can you define what a meta program is? Oh, you can't. What part of a meta program are you treating as real then? That's comes down to roost it like that, like for you, okay. Doesn't it?
Yeah, it has quite a few times. Yeah, but you're getting to a really important thing here, which is the thing that it's an example of what you're saying. What somebody says, and you start to see what they actually believe by what they do.
Yes. Okay. Look, neither you nor I can see the color of our eyes. I've said this a lot of times in this space here, but it's a true thing. If you're using a program, especially a belief program, if you're using a self meta program, something that you've decided is real, and you're using that as a measure for real, you can't see yourself using it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, been there, done that. Yeah, I got it.
You can't see it any more than what you're. And so somebody comes along and they say, you're doing this thing. You're saying this over here, but you're doing this thing over here. But you can't see that you've done something other than what you've said.
Right.
You can. Yeah. You can, but if you also let that little thing in there about, lies are okay, really. They're not really bad. Then you do that to yourself. You lie to yourself about it. You lie to other people about it. You say, no, I don't understand. What do you mean? Yeah. I'm mommy. I'm not lying. I really did not eat that last cookie. I didn't do it. It was somebody else. It was the cookie monster. Mm-hmm.
Or, that it's the story you've been telling yourself about why this works or why you have to do it or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But I think that what you're giving example here is like, okay, if you want to know what you really believe, you gotta be talking to somebody else about what you're actually doing, because if you
slow it down here. Okay, just slow down. Kinda.
Me slow it down. Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Okay. Right. All right. Slow it down here for a minute or two, and let's think about this. All right. All right, part of the structure that we talk about here is playing field, okay? And the playing field is a way of measuring what we do outside of the body. You know, we can stand in the playing field and look at what we're doing with the body, okay? So if we think about this, we say, okay, my communication, the communication of information gives rise to the do function. Okay, that's just a general statement that applies to something that we can use to stand outside of ourselves to look. Okay,
so if I look at doing, okay.
Yes. Okay, so if I look at that and I say, okay, do function is a result of communication. If I just assume that's true, maybe not false, okay, but at least kind of true. Okay, let me check here. You know, that take about a minute to check, and if I just kind of step over there in that place, okay, what did my communication actually do? Okay, well, did you get the trust that you were looking for? Did you get the agreement you're looking for? Did you get the attaboys that you were looking for? Did you get the money that you were looking for? Did you make the sale that you were looking for? Did you impress the girl that you were trying to impress? Did you impress the guy that you were trying to impress? What did you actually do about that?
So
what did your communication actually do? What change was wrought because you said what you said?
Okay, and all those examples are what did it do outside of my body? What did it do in the world? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Because that's where do is measured, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's not who cares how I feel about it. What did it do out there with somebody else or in the world?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You can be as righteous as hell about having about said the right thing and you put them in their place and you know all that kind of good stuff, right? You can be as righteous as you want to be about that. But if the fact of the matter is, if you walk away from them saying, "Oh, that was a strange damn conversation. What the hell was that about?" You didn't really make much headway at whatever you were trying to accomplish. So you need to stop and think about why not, because it was your purpose to say those things to accomplish that, and you didn't accomplish it. Mm-hmm. Why not? Mm-hmm. I mean, wasn't that what you set out to do? Then why didn't you do it? Why did you come up short? Is there a hole in your bucket? Is there a hole in your bucket that you came up short? In other words, when you went down to buy the beer, was a hole in your bucket and all your energy, all your beer energy was leaking out? Okay, and so you didn't get home with the bucket of beer. You got home with a wet bucket, but the beer had been in there, but you couldn't drink anymore of it because it was all on the sidewalk between the bar and your house, right? Mm-hmm. That's an example from a long time ago. You probably don't remember that.
Don't buy beer buckets too much, yeah.
Okay. That's one reason they came out with glass bottles, you know. That way you could see the beer and you could see if you still had it when you got home.
or if you snuck any. Yeah.
Right. If it leaked somewhere, you could tell right away. Right? Okay, so the idea here that I'm trying to get you to see is that, you know, sometimes we have these energy leaks in our conversations and in our communication because we don't deal with what real is. But not only what real is for me, but what is real for the other person. In other words, if I'm talking to you and I want you to understand what it is I'm saying, then I have to construct that thing I'm saying in such a way that you can understand it. Not the way that I can understand it, but the way that you can understand it, because that's the job here, is for me to communicate this information to you so that you and I can do together with this information. That's the idea. So that doesn't necessarily always take place, but in fact, it's kind of not. It doesn't take place much because that conversation is very short, really, and it has to do with, I got to do that, huh? And
so that conversation is short because when you actually place it, the person,
there's nothing else to talk about.
Because they actually already recognize it.
And then they begin to do that, no matter what it is. Let me give you some simple examples, okay?
Okay.
So a guy sees this girl in high school and he kind of likes her, so he decides he wants to go out with her. So he goes over and says, "Hey, would you go out with me?" And she goes out a couple of times with him. He says, "You know, I like you a lot. I'd like to kind of put my claim on you. Would you take my ring and wear it around your neck?" And she says, "Oh, okay." And then from that moment forward, It wasn't a long conversation. Just from that moment forward, she says, okay. However, the conversation itself went on way before she said, okay. That conversation started from the very moment that he said, can I go out?
Yep.
Okay, because from that point forward, there was an agreement about what they were going to do. Now there comes a point in time where she says, this is a heavy ring around my neck all the damn time, and you're still in love with your mama, and I ain't your mama, so you ain't gonna be in love with me. You're gonna be in love with your mama forever. So I don't want to put up with you anymore. So then she tells him that, and what she does is she gives him back her ring, and that conversation doesn't take long. But from that time forward, there's a new reality. Now, those are two extremes of the same idea, but you kind of get where it's coming from, I think.
But there's something being very clearly being done in both
instances. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The same thing is true. Like let's say for a bank loan, you go and you present all your information to the bank and you say this is what it is. The bank says either okay we agree. The bank says okay we don't agree. From that moment forward, there's a reality that you live in. Because you don't have the hope of having the agreement if they say no, and if you do have the agreement, they say yes, then you have the hope of a different reality because of the money that you've gotten there. Mm-hmm. That's what you do with things, right?
Okay, so that's sort of saying a lot of times when people are talking back and forth, is this blah 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 blah, but nothing's really being done. There's actually not a shift.
Right. Think about this in terms of a sales office for a second.
Okay.
Okay. When you think about it in the terms of a sales office, the amount of money that is blown away on people's fear is absolutely astounding.
Okay. Like whether they're trying to do training or coaching.
Okay, wait a second. Okay, here's a guy who comes in, he wants a job. Okay. And so he wants to make some money. He's heard sales is a good way to make money. So let's say that he's going to come in and he's going to sell cars. So he comes in and he says, okay, well, this is a good car. It's a pretty car. It's this car, and it's an expensive car. Because he has a fear of having that much money in his own pocket. What would happen if he had that money? Would he owe taxes on it? Would he have to do this? Would he have to, would his friends still like him? Would he have to change his friends? Would he have to move to a different neighborhood? All these kinds of things add up. But really what it is that back in the day when he was a little kid, everybody said, I don't know what's wrong with you. You just don't do anything right. Why can't you be like your big brother and do things right? Or some other silly thing like that. And nobody really noticed that when they were saying it, but the kid did. And so now he's a grown man. He's trying to make some money, but he doesn't understand that he has this belief in real that he's not really worth much. He doesn't ever do anything right. And so every time he tries to make a sale, guess what? I hope it gets through. I hope this happens. And, I hope. I wish I can. I wish I could. I wish it. No, it didn't. Oh, darn. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
So right there, going back to earlier, you're showing those are the meta programs he's using because of the belief.
Right. That's right.
So that's all over everything he says and does. Yeah.
That's right, because he can't get past that, you see, because he believes it's real. Now, if he stops for a moment, it only takes a moment of reflection, but if he stops and says, oh, okay, I see, I believe that my value is really less than what my actual value has to be. So let me recalculate my value. Well, from that time forward, he's living in a different reality. He may not be able to realize it right away because it took him 30, 40 years, whatever it took him to get to that point of self-loathing. He's not going to get over it overnight by wiggling his nose, although it's not going to take 30, 40 years either. It might take a week or so, but he's going to get through it because he sees what the problem is. And every time he runs into the problem, he's going to stop and say, oh, okay, yeah, no, wait a minute, I have the value. No, wait a minute, sir, before you leave, I got to tell you something here. That I think that this car would really be good for you because I think that you have this I think you're worth this car. Now, that's a really different stance than saying, well, I don't know that you can afford that. I couldn't afford it. I don't know if I'm worth that much. I can get a Volkswagen, a used one. That's what I drive, a used Volkswagen. I have to push it a lot in the mornings, but it gets me to where I want to go.
Eventually. Okay, so okay, it's interesting you raise this like in the sales context. So what you're kind of saying that this whole idea of how belief is creating reality has a real business application. That if somebody's not making sales, if that's the do of their communication, you have to go back and say, okay, what do they believe in? Because that belief is causing that. Okay.
Right. Okay. Here's another way to look at this one. Okay. Same thing. Okay.
All right.
You got a guy and a girl that's married. Okay. And one of them gets in a snit because the other one insulted them. Can you define what insulted means? Can you show me how big is an insult? I mean, is it like bigger than a bread box? Can you put it in the trunk of a car? Do you have to get a roof rack? What? Yeah. Can you put it in a suitcase? Yeah. Do you have to pay extra carry-on luggage fees? What? Okay. Yeah. What is this thing of being insulted?
You made me feel bad.
Okay. Now, how can I make you feel bad? I want you to stop and think about this. I can't make you pee. And peeing and feeling is the same thing. It's the same you that has to generate that information of I need to, I have to, I feel this. I mean, you do feel when you have to go pee, right?
But John, you should know how I respond when you say that thing,
I do.
You should know.
I do, and not only that, I can count on it to shut your mouth up every now and then. Because I can offend you easily because you don't ever get over it. You just keep saying offense is really an important thing, and I'm hurt, and I'll never forgive you. I said, oh, really? Ever, never, ever. Oh, okay.
Let's see. Let's check right now.
Yeah, let's check. Yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right. But yeah, I see what you're saying about that. The insults it's usually somebody's like, they're just kind of getting in that.
Right. And so okay. Now wait a second though. Here's the thing. Really, you're so narcissistic that you're going to ruin a perfectly good relationship because you got offended because somebody said something they didn't know were going to offend you, or even if they did know you were going to offend them, you couldn't take that with a grain of salt and say, okay, shut up. What the hell are you talking about? Look, here I am, I'm doing this. See, people who are actually doing something, that's how they are. Let me give you a really famous example.
Okay.
Steve Kerr played basketball with Michael Jordan. And in the finals game, Michael was everybody knew that Michael was going to get the ball. And Michael told Steve Kerr, I'm going to pass it to you. And he did, and Steve Kerr made the shot. And the Bulls won the game and the series and so on and so forth. It's in the Last Dance movie thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. But that was an important moment because Steve Kerr said, okay, yeah, I can walk the walk, not only just talk the talk. I'm right here where you need me. You can count on me right here. I'll make that shot. I've been practicing this shot all my life, so you bet your ass I can make it. See, that's something that somebody does that you can count on. And that's what you look for in salespeople. That's what you look for in managers. That's what you look for in partners. That's what you look for in a relationship. Look for that person who can do that thing. It doesn't make any difference how they feel. Doesn't make any difference what you said. Doesn't make any difference what you're doing. Anything else in any other way. You either are accomplishing that thing or you're not. Didn't make any difference how Steve Kerr thought about Michael Jordan. Didn't make any difference whether Steve Kerr thought that the clown, what's his name, underneath the basket does all the rebounding. It didn't make any difference how he thought about him. It didn't make any difference whether he liked him or not, or whether he thought he was okay or not. What made a difference was is he said, okay, this is my job. I'm doing this, and you can count on me to get this done. That's what all of those people on that team did. Now, they were obviously a championship team, and so, golly wowzers, they're way better than me and you, right?
Yeah, quite a long way, yes. Yeah.
Well, playing basketball they are, but they're not any better than you and I on doing what it is that we say. Especially not for stuff we've been practicing all of our life about, right? I mean, we're not the same, right?
Well,
so you see, that's the thing about beliefs in real. When you believe something's real, you treat it as real. Steve Kerr believed that he was really a basketball player who could make that shot. He'd been practicing all of his life, and so he made it. He believed he would. It's kind of like Schrodinger's cat.
Okay, that's would be whether you believe your cat's dead or not, or you believe it alive. You're right. You know.
Yeah. No matter what you believe, you're right, because you're making that thing real. Because you see, here's the thing: what you observe in terms of this, and this is just simply a way for you to appease reason. It's not the truth, okay? It's a way for you to stop and have to think about what I'm telling you. In the famous double slit experiment, electrons either form a wave pattern or a static pattern on the back wall when they're shot through a double slit. Okay. And when you pay attention, they behave like particles, and they go right straight through the slit, bang, 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 and they provide bars on the other side of the slit that say, okay, well, we went through a slit. When you shoot electrons and don't pay attention to them, electrons kind of wander around and they have a wave of probability. Now that's a different thing than a particle that you identify as going to go right to that place. But the difference in the two ideas is observation or awareness. In other words, when you're aware of what the particles are doing, they behave as particles. When you are not aware of them, they behave as though they are a wave. And as a matter of fact, they can go through both slots or through neither of the slots, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, things get really weird when you don't pay attention. I guess it's one of those things when the cat's away, the mice will play sort of thing. You're not paying attention to what particles are doing. They just do whatever they want. They just go down the beach and party. That's it. They just wave after wave after wave. Okay. But that's the reason why that barcodes work. Because what they're doing is they're reading a particular wave pattern. And that wave pattern is assigned a meaning, a number, a price, for instance. Okay. And a code, that's assigned a product name. Maybe even a picture that goes up on the computer screen to show you what the product's supposed to look like, so you're not doing it for the wrong product. All that's generated from a single barcode, and the reason why it's a unique pattern. So if you think about that, if you think about, okay, that's what we're doing when we pay attention to a particle, as we're defining where it will go and what it means, what it does, then you could think about that and expand it out further and say, okay, if I believe something is real, I probably align all the particles of my life to that belief in real, because that's what I'm aware of.
Okay, just stop right there. So so by paying attention to the belief or putting your attention on it, you're taking the wave of probabilities and you're saying this is a thing, this is a reality. So then everything kind of works around it. I mean, that's the right. Advantage of maybe paying attention to what it is you actually believe, whether it works for you or not.
How about that you take it out of the chance belief and put it into the deliberate belief category? Then what happens?
Well, both things do the same thing in your brain. But you
Yes,
might
they
be
do.
more likely to get the results you want if you say, let me see what it does, and if I don't like it, let me adjust it, let me see what it does. You may be moving closer to something that gets
No,
you.
that's horseshit. I'm sorry,
Okay,
but
okay, all right, then, all right.
that's horseshit. Okay,
Okay,
let's read it.
I'm trying, but all right.
Okay, I got it.
What is it?
Okay,
What is it really?
okay, let's go back. Let's go back and examine it though. A little, just we did. You got a couple wrinkles in there. You got some creases we don't want. We're going to take those creases out. Okay. All right. So here we're ironing out platinum. Here it comes. Look, I believe something is real. Okay, I believe that that my value is not what it should be. For instance, okay, I just that's what I believe. Now, I go to apply for the sales job, and I realize that all these other sales guys are making money, and I'm not. That's not fair. They get all the good leads, and I don't. You know, I make all kinds of excuses for that, right? But the reality is they're communicating something that I'm not. And what they're communicating is that they have faith or they have confidence in the product, or they believe in the product. They believe that the product is real. And I'm communicating that I have doubts about the value of the product because I have doubts about my own value, about whether that product, even though it might be that valuable, could be applied to my life. So if I change my belief, if I deliberately change my belief to the point to say, oh, you know what, I really do have the value. These guys with their suits and ties aren't no damn different than I am. They put their pants on one leg at a time in the morning, just the same as I do. So you know what, I can, whatever they can do, I can do, maybe even better. I can do at least as good as they can. I can make the same kind of money those guys do. Now, they got more time and experience in this, so they're going to make more money because they know where to go find some money. I don't know where to find it yet, but that don't mean I ain't going to figure it out. Okay, so this is the thing, that salesperson has to deliberately change what he believes is real in order to be successful. Okay. That's what the business owner has to do. He has to believe in that product on purpose. He may not know what that thing's going to do. You know, if you're a McDonald's franchisee, you have a pretty good idea what your product's going to do. You know where your investment's going to go. Okay, you know look, you're in the middle of a teenage a city of teenage people. You're going to be good. You're fine right there. You know those people are going to have babies and you'll be selling McDonald's hamburgers as long as there's cows, and maybe even beyond, because we might come up with a meat substitute. You don't know. Okay, so anyway, what are we talking about here? We're talking about something that you believe is real, deliberately believe is real. Okay, if you're opening up let's say a startup.com business, you have to believe that thing's real. You have to believe in it. You have to believe that it's the cat's meow. You have to believe that it's gonna do what you think is gonna go viral for you. That's what you have to believe, right? Okay. Now, does it? I don't know. But if you don't believe it's going to, it certainly isn't going to. You're going to keep it from happening. You yourself. If you believe you can drive, you can drive. If you don't believe you can drive, you're not going to. If you believe that you can figure out how to use that clutch on that hillside when you come back, have to stop at the top of the hill. If you figure out, if you say, okay, now screw this. If the guys can do it, I can do it. You can move it. You can be just smooth as any guy can, maybe smoother. You're thinking about it. He's not. Okay. Those are all beliefs in real, right?
Yeah. And that's pretty damn practical, because if I have a goal, if I'm trying, whether it's a business or sales or whatever, if my beliefs in real don't line up, what you're saying, that's gonna be pretty nigh impossible to actually do that. If I have beliefs that conflict with that or undermine it or whatever.
Yes, sort of, but it isn't if you have beliefs. It's what you treat as real.
Okay, that's a better way. Yeah,
I want you to stop and think about what I'm saying here. If you treat something as real, or if you think it's real, you can believe that thing. That's a prerequisite for the brain to use that data as a belief. Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, think about this in terms of Luke or Leah, my little grandchildren's. Okay.
Okay.
They have to believe in themselves to get up and walk. Leah's, have to believe that she can get up and walk. She has to think, okay, I have all these other kids over here walking. I want to do that. I don't want to lay here on the bed not knowing what's going on. I want to get up and be part of this, part of the action, right? So she has to believe in herself.
And even if she falls down 20 times, she still believes, my God, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody else walks around.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, that's a good example. Yeah.
Okay, so she has to believe that's real, see? And so because she believes it's real, she's going to make it real. She's going to make it be a thing. She's going to bring that future into this present. You're going to get up and try. She's going to start doing it. Okay, now, there's no difference between that and somebody who wants to be a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief or married or have kids or buy a car or a house or hold down a job or whatever. They must believe that that thing is real for them. They must say that, okay, this is real. Now, that doesn't mean they have to agree that everything that you or I would see as real is the same thing. That they have to say that from their perspective, they believe that these things are real. Now, that reality really needs to be checked by you, by me, by them, by everybody to see if it's actually a reality that exists in the external reality, or if it's a reality that exists solely in my internal reality.
Yeah, like the reality of me believing that I can be a singer. I've checked it a few times, and the reality ain't true.
It's not true.
No matter
Okay.
how I love singing in the show.
Karaoke night's not your best evening at the bar. Okay,
I might wish it all, but I've been checked. Yeah, so
yeah, okay. So you don't embarrass yourself in the karaoke night much anymore?
Yeah, the world's a happier place for sure.
You don't drink as much as you used to, do you?
That's also true. So I think this kind of brings, on that happy note, that kind of brings the session to a close, and we'll pick this up the next time.
Okay, I'm glad you had a good time, Terry. It helps when it helps when I can see what you're doing.
Right. Yes, I've noticed.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you.
All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.